Hey guys, today's episode is sponsored by Servosity. Servosity does two things very differently from any other backup and DR company. The first is they are maniacal about testing your backups daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Last, they're crazy enough to manage the backups and take over 80% of the operations. So it's done for you proactively, but allows you to put your hands on it to be the hero when needed. If you want all of that, plus immutable and unlimited storage, make sure to take a look at servosity.com.
I actually literally could choose to be a completely different person. I can choose any identity today. And then it's, will you behave in alignment with that identity, right? Like I just got off a call with a client who wants help landing $100,000 coaching clients. She wanted strategy. You think I did strategy with her? I was like, no, what strategy we're gonna do? You're not the woman who's going to command a 100K client yet. That's what we're gonna spend this call on.
Hey guys, Damian Stevens, host of MSP Mindset. Today I got the amazing gift to interview Alok Appadurai. He is the author of Maximum Impact Potential, and we talked about mindset, falling, and shame. What does that mean? He went from CEO of a company doing millions to the shame he felt of not being able to provide for his son, all the way back to a one-bedroom apartment and living paycheck to paycheck. Learn how he took a customer service job, more importantly, changed his mindset, and now uses it to uplift millions and millions of people. I want to kind of go back a little bit. How did your upbringing influence your journey? You've been on a pretty interesting, I think, path, non-linear path.
Oh my God, David. You want to talk about non-linear, my brother? I mean, the other day, my girlfriend Caitlin looked at me and she was like, you know, because she learned some other layers of my journey, even though we've been together 6 years. And she just looked at me and she was like, I have so much compassion for the journey. You know, and I just said, yeah, it's been an interesting one.
Yeah.
I grew up in West Philadelphia, which is in the 1980s, which was a complicated neighborhood. My father is a first generation from India, straight off the boat. So I had a brown father and a white mother. The father was Hindu, mother was Bible Baptist Christian.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we just had all these.
Yeah.
I was this strange chameleon of all of these things, never quite fitting in, but always able to blend. And growing up in those environments, my mother's family's from rural upstate New York, so very working class. I saw inequality very starkly. My parents scraped together the money to send me to private school in downtown center city of Philadelphia. And so it's like I would see that world during the day. And then I would experience the gunshots and the 40s of malt liquor and all that stuff, being chased by gangs and whatnot. And it just created a consciousness inside of myself that financial scarcity, when especially combined with alcohol, right, creates hardship in families. And I witnessed that hardship. I experienced that hardship and what it did, not just in my own family, but in basically every household. They're all soaked in alcohol and financial scarcity. And that double dip, Damian, it's like anybody listening who's ever experienced that, you're like, yeah, it's devastating for a young person.
Yeah.
Right? So that really shaped me saying, it really led to a very simple question, which is, Alok, how can you increase the flow of money energy through good-hearted people who want to run businesses that create good in the world? And by good, it could mean things like it helps the environment, it reduces poverty, this and that, the other. But it could also mean good like quality jobs that provide dignity, honor, and respect, right? So once it clicked and I was like, oh, I've got some superpowers in the making money zone. I can help people do that. But I want to help those that have an agenda that's bigger than themselves. And that all came out of my early years of going, in every community, company, country, or organization, there needs to be at least one person equipped to be something that I call a wealth circulator. Okay? If you got a company that doesn't have at least one person who can move money energy, the lifeblood of a company, through the company, company's dead.
Yep.
Community doesn't have the money to move through it, dead. Country doesn't have at least one person, dead. Right? So, and then all of the ancillary effects of that. So I just learned at a young age, I was like, I got to do something to change my own trajectory. I'm doing things that no one in my lineage has done. Right. And so we're trailblazers. We are cycle breakers and trailblazers. And I know you talk a lot about the mind. We can get into that, but these are big decisions to make when nobody before you in your lineage made those decisions. I've got a milestone coming up on July 14th of this year, which is 10 years without alcohol. And back then, if you had told me that I would go 10 years without a sip of beer or whatever else, I would have laughed in your face because it was just so much. I was just replicating what I had been taught. And then there was a moment when, and I'm going to tell two stories here. One is this, where my son was about 2.5 years old. And I looked down at him. I had lost everything. We can get into that if you want. And I just said to him, he was asleep, but I just whispered. I said, your daddy got us into this jam. Your daddy's going to get us out. And in that moment, I knew that if I stopped drinking right then, my son would not have memories of a father who was a drinker. And I said, I cannot change a lot in his life, especially to the men folk who are listening. You're attempting to be a great provider. You're attempting to be a great husband to your lady or your man, whichever way you swing. I don't give a shit. You're attempting to be a great father to your children. And that is not an easy trifecta. And you're trying to take care of yourself, which most men don't do.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage any man listening, you want to put down the bottle, you will change generations to come.
I got you into this, but I'm going to get you out of it. Tell me about, is that when your company was revenue dried up? Tell me what you meant by that.
Yeah. So I had spent 20 years building impact-driven companies across multiple industries, from clean energy technology that can convert garbage into electricity and fuel, to sustainable fashion that fed 500,000 meals to people in need, to a global media platform to reshape body image and mass media for women around the world, right? All these large commitments. And all of a sudden, 2016, the wheels fell off completely. And when I say completely, I want the listener to understand anything that I discuss with Damien, it's not me talking theory or talking like I had some straight rocket and I'm looking down on anybody that's ever had any bumps in the road. It's like, no, 2016, I lost everything. I mean, everything. Okay. No car, no Wi-Fi connection, no job, no company. I had no credit card space. It was all maxed out. My credit score was in the dumps. All the loans were maxed out and all the cash was gone from the bank account. So when I coach people at this point, it's from, I know the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not some sob story. It's like, that's what occurred.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying. Okay. Right. Especially if you're a man and you have an identity of a provider.
Right.
And you're not a deadbeat.
Right.
Okay. I was working 60 to 70 hour weeks in my company. I was putting everything on the line. I had a heart of gold. I had a mission that mattered, right? That could make a positive impact in the world. And I lost everything. And I got down on my knees over those months, right? And I'm like, God, source, whatever language you want to use. Well, what am I missing? How is it that I'm 15 days between paychecks? No breathing room, no room for error. A vacation back then, you want to know what a vacation was? Vacation was me having $1.50 to get on the bus, go down Broadway to Elcon movie theater and see a matinee show for $5.75 with no popcorn, no soda. That was a vacation. And I would soak it up as a vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that moment, I had to really come to terms with going, what memo am I missing?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what was delivered. Most life-changing. I talk about this from stage. I'm not embarrassed about what happened, okay? The memo was simply this. Yes, Alok, you work long hours. You're highly committed to your mission. You're doing your best to put all of your money towards missions that you think make the world a better place. We commend you for that. But here's the thing you don't do, Alok. You don't ask for help.
Mm.
You don't ask for help, Alok. All the greats ask for help because they value time over money, not money over time. So they raise their hand to ask for help because they know that it condenses their timelines to an outcome. And you don't do that. You go it alone. You but still believe that entrepreneurs are problem solvers who solve problems on their own.
Right.
So it's this, anybody listening, if you're an entrepreneur, you want to accelerate your results, start raising your hand, get into communities of badass entrepreneurs. Raise your hand and start asking for help and invest the most you can invest into the highest level container you can possibly get yourself into with whatever cash flow you have available. And it should make you shit your pants a little bit. Okay? The investment into yourself should make you shit your pants a little bit because that's when you're going to start really paying attention. Okay? So to me, once I got that memo, even though I was broke, Damien, broke, okay? There was no going and joining a mastermind or a group program or getting a one-on-one mentor, nothing, okay? There were books, but I took all my resourcefulness. There were books, training programs, videos, and I just started devouring everything. I'd work, a friend of mine got me a customer service job. I had to swallow my ego, right? People were like, why are you not taking a CEO level position somewhere? And my friend was like, take this job. It's below you, quote unquote. It'll put food on the table and it's going to train you because you don't realize that you are their dream customer.
Yeah.
You are a Tony Robbins. You just don't know it. She watched my body of work for a long time, right? So I said, sources guiding me here. I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm going to take a bottom of the totem pole position in a transformation company. See, most people won't do that. I now understand that wasn't a step down. That was the springboard springing me out, right? So I would work during the day. I'd put my son to sleep, and then I would train at night, okay? From about 8 p.m. to about 1 in the morning. I would study, train, and retool myself. People see what my life is now, and they're like, oh my God, it's amazing. You drive dream car, live dream house, blah, blah, blah. You're taking Caitlin to Bali this summer, blah, blah, blah. People don't see what happens outside of the light. They don't see it, right? So I say to people, do today what others won't so you can do tomorrow what others can't, right? I was willing to put it in for 6 brutal months, double time. So when people are like, oh, look, Dad, you're asking me to make a big commitment. I'm like, I'm the wrong guy. I'm the wrong guy to be telling you don't want to make commitment to your dreams, hopes, visions, marriage, and family.
Right.
Sorry, wrong guy.
Right.
You should take a call with somebody else who doesn't give a shit.
That's right.
But as I'm not investing my time and energy, my life force into you when you only want to get rich for yourself, right?
And when you're not willing to put anything at risk.
You're not willing to risk anything. I've risked everything over and over and over again. It is the definition of being an entrepreneur. So in that time period, I had to rebuild. I started from nothing again. But it's a decision to know who the fuck you are, regardless of your current circumstances. And despite having not 2 nickels to rub together and the risk of homelessness, literally needing to either go beg friends to take my son and I in or go hit the homeless shelter. And still, Damien, I knew who the fuck I was.
Yeah.
And so we just start again and we keep going. The key is what I have on my bracelet, which I hand stamped myself. Never give up. That's every day.
Yeah.
Our job is to keep going.
So how did you have that kind of identity, especially in the face of failure, right? I think it's easy to have identity when you're winning.
That's right.
This is who I am. I'm a winner.
That's right.
I'm at the top. I'm a guy.
That's right.
And I provide. And then I think this culture and in social media, everybody's got their living their best life. But,
That's right.
they're not showing you the argument they had 10 minutes before.
That's right.
So how did you have that identity when you're down and out? And because we all want, it's kind of like the investor pitch deck. Everything's just going to go up and to the right.
That's right.
It never has a down month or down year.
No.
And I don't think that's how life is either.
No.
So
that wasn't how yesterday was for me, Damien.
Yeah, really?
My lady and I had a conflict yesterday. Okay?
That's real.
That's real. All right. We're working through our shit, Damien. Yep. That's real.
I love that. So how did you maintain your identity? How do you?
So first and foremost, it was messy. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't want anybody thinking that I was somehow, just that Rock of Gibraltar in my one-room studio, gazing out my window with nothing but glory in front of me. No, David, it was clinging to an identity. Okay, I want you to imagine a thread. Okay, and prior to it, it was like a full rope. It was that rope that you could hang from Mount Everest on, right, and not fall. All right. Mm-hmm. But now you go through hardship. And by the way, for everybody listening, I don't look at what happened as failure. Even though I lost my company, I got pushed out and I got left with nothing. Mm. Okay? Because guess what? The changes that I made out of that circumstance about myself and the work I was doing, fast forward from 2016 to 2020, we all know something big happened in 2020 to the whole world.
Right.
My family was protected. Mm. Financially because I lost everything in 2016. So I invite everybody, no matter where you're at in your hardship journey, to delete the word failure and replace it with learnings. Now, if you weren't learning out of it, you're damn right it was a failure.
Yeah, it was a failure. Yeah,
for sure.
You got to learn, right? You either learn or win, right?
You learn or win. You got it. Yeah. You're going to learn or win. And so for me, in that time period, it was not that I had that thick rope of identity. I had a thread. Like it was just barely a thread, but the thread was there. And it was like, here's a wealth mindset for everybody. Middle class thinking and lower class thinking will look at success as temporary. And they'll just wait for the other shoe to drop where everything reverts back to the mean. Okay? Wealthy people look at failure as temporary, and they know there's a natural reversion back to the mean. Okay? Now, I didn't know that mindset at the time.
Yeah.
But when I look back, Damien, I had a wealth mindset about my mission on this earth, which is that I came here to uplift humanity. That is not dependent on my bank account.
Right.
It's just not. Like when you know who you are and you know why you came to earth, it's like, okay, got it. I kind of got to put a pause on that right now because I got no resources. I want everybody here. Your level of impact into the lives of other beings is directly tied to your ability to move money energy through your ideas to uplift other beings, right? So in the moment of losing everything, yes, I had to put a pause. I had to hit the pause button on my ability to go uplift 1 million people. I couldn't uplift myself.
Yes.
Right? But the identity that I am that thread, even though I was beat up as fuck, okay? Like, I had every reason to go, Alok, it might be time to hang it up on this whole change the world thing.
Yeah.
It might be just time to wave the flag and just capitulate into the domestication of just go become a cog in the system. And by the way, I'm not poo-pooing anybody that has a 9-to-5 job, right? There are some people that are just built to be operators, and that's beautiful. Yeah. And they should do that gloriously, right? I'm not built for that.
Right.
It's not how I'm built. So in that moment, Damien, I just had to, it was like, I want you to imagine me dangling from a sewing thread, and I couldn't believe it didn't break.
Right.
But it didn't break. And then I started just weaving another thread. And if you want to really know what saved my ass in that moment, I had people around me who gaslighted me, who did everything to destroy my sense of self. Okay. And they convinced me that I sucked at business and I would never be successful in business. Okay.
Wow.
So this one night, this happened. I want you to hear, because you're asking, how did you claim or reclaim identity?
Yeah.
So I felt like shit. Okay. Like I just was like, man, you suck. You thought you talked a big game. You thought, you're this handsome guy and you work hard and you have a heart of gold and you want to uplift humanity. You're trying to use your superpowers for good, dude, but you suck. Okay. How about that?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I better find something, because I got to create. I got to create right now. And so I actually capitulated to, you kind of suck, dude, and you kind of aren't going to amount to much in business. And I was like, okay, fine. But I was like, God, is there anything? Is there any redeeming entrepreneurial quality about me? Okay. And in that moment, God was like, don't forget your 30 years in sales. And then something happened in me, Damien. I was like, right. And I found this little 1 millimeter piece of terrain under my feet all of a sudden. And Damien, in that moment, it solidified. It was tiny. My feet couldn't move anywhere. There's no walking anywhere else. But I was like, oh, right. Nobody can take that away from me.
Right.
And that began the rebuild. I said, I might suck in business, but I can help a good-hearted entrepreneur improve their sales results. Even I'm broke. You can come to me right now. I'm broke. I can do it.
Before we go to that next part, if I remember, isn't there something about, didn't you resist that? Like sales? About sales? Like,
my God. I resisted that so hard, man. Because that's another one of the taboos, right? That you might sell something.
Right? Nobody wants to raise their kid to be a salesperson.
Hey, right? Who does that?
Yeah.
Right? Except when you realize that all 8 billion humans are in sales. Just most don't admit it.
Right.
And then when you realize that sales is the beginning of service, right? And for those in the transformation space who care about transforming people's lives, sales is the make or break on whether or not you will be able to serve. Unless you have a trust fund and you can just do it for free.
Right.
But most of my people, I don't tend to attract trust funders.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Right.
You know? Wasn't my DNA, wasn't my hardwiring. So I tend to attract the cycle breakers. I tend to attract those that are going where nobody in their lineage has gone before. So yes, I resisted sales until I changed my philosophy about sales. And then I realized that it is one of the I used to think it was the greatest thing that I could create into another being, because it would allow them to create their dreams coming to life. Now I understand. One of my clients came to me the other day. His name's Sanika Street. But he came to me and he said, you know what your superpower is, Alok? And I said, tell me. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know people think it's leadership, sales, business, you're a business savant, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no. He's like, your superpower is that people transform their identity in your orbit. And I wish someone would have told me this. Anybody listening, your next leg of growth will go like this. Identity evolution first, vision evolution second, strategic implementation third. So for anybody listening, if you're just looking to go to strategy for the next leg, it will either fail, meaning it won't work, or it will underperform the strategy. So I would tell anybody listening, you want rocket fuel? Invest in the thing I'm about to say, which you think won't be the thing that you would want to spend money on, which is be with somebody who can involve your identity. Like I got a guy coming, he's flying in to be with me on that couch right there. And on Saturday, he'll be with me for 7 hours. His wife assigned him to come sit with me. And they paid a bucket of money for that day.
Yeah.
It's going to be identity work out the wazoo, maybe a little strategy in the second half of the day. But it's going to be, I want him to be reborn. Yeah. I want him to get back on that airplane, a different man, a different leader, a different entrepreneur. And that's identity. Out of identity, evolution creates a new vision for what you're creating in your company and your family, etc. And then you bolt on strategy that's applicable to the identity and the vision.
So if I'm working through these things, I'm struggling with these, where do I, obviously I start at the beginning, identity, but what do I do? How do I figure it out? There's so many people that want to tell me so many different ways to figure out identity. There's all the shelves are filled with it, right?
The short answer that I would say to your listeners is, and this is not fancy, it's begin to look at how were you domesticated by other adults, other family members, other friends, other teachers, other people from the time you can remember, right? Age 3, age 4, age 5, age 10, age 15, whatever, that led to you deciding how you're going to live, okay? And to make that more specific, I invite them to listen about politics, religion, sexuality, right? Money, culture, food, the way you talk. All of it was domesticated into you. I had a client who literally, she said to me, "Look, I'm Italian. I'm just kind of loud like this."
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's not true. That's not true at all. You just decided somewhere along the way that, because I said, go to Italy, they don't talk like that. So, I don't have a problem with how you talk, but it's just, you've just chosen to talk that way because of where you grew up in New Jersey, and that's how people talked. And then they were loud, so you were loud. But it's not who you are. It's who you chose to be up until today, and you can choose to no longer be loud if you don't want to be loud. You don't have to have the accent of the Italian from New Jersey. That's just chosen. Right? So we start looking at our lives and that process, and it takes courage because maybe there's things your dad told you, and now you're starting to question it. And then if they want to go deeper, I would invite the listener, you have likely experienced trauma.
Yeah.
You've either experienced big trauma or little trauma, okay? But you didn't come out unscathed. I'm sorry, okay? So I would invite a conversation that goes, how is trauma affecting my marriage? How is trauma affecting how I parent? How is trauma affecting how I lead my teams and my organizations? The handling of trauma will change your identity. It'll change the man that you are with your wife, or, it'll change all the things. So those are a couple different zones of the nuts and bolts of identity. And then what I would say to the audience is, I want to invite you into an idea. Your identity is simply who you give yourself permission to be. Period. See, so many of us are waiting for permission from our spouses or our parents or our children or our college friends or our childhood friends. What are they going to think about me, right? And so then we play small into the limitations of our community. And so I would invite anybody to begin to go, actually, like right now, like as I'm listening to this interview, I actually literally could choose to be a completely different person. I could choose to like red, not blue. I could choose to like to become a musician today. I could choose to become a full-time artist today. I can choose any identity today. And then it's, will you behave in alignment with that identity? Right? Like I just got off a call with a client who wants help landing $100,000 coaching clients, right? She wanted strategy.
All right.
You think I did strategy with her? I was like, no, what strategy we're going to do? You're not the woman who's going to command a 100K client yet. That's what we're going to spend this call on. Right? So, and by the way, she is someone who will command 100K clients. She's claiming the identity first.
Yes.
So if you realize that you are not who you were yesterday, you're not. And the listeners out there might go, well, what? Yes, I am.
Right.
Okay, well, that's because you woke up today and you chose to still be the person you were yesterday. Fine. But you created yourself today as you were yesterday. Okay, so then you're experiencing yourself the same as yesterday. That's a choice.
Yeah.
So no matter what your circumstances, from nothing, bottom of the barrel. Hey, let me give you an example of this.
Please.
Okay, ready for it? When I had lost everything, I'm on that customer service team. One of the requirements of that customer service team is that I would have to fly to California for some live event they were putting on. And they'd pay for my lodging, pay for my food, but I'd get paid no hourly wage to be there. And it's required. So I'm like, sure, I don't even know what I'm getting into. I arrive there. Remember, I am lowest on the totem pole, okay? I'm the guy, I'm like, you tell me any task. I will just do whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm in that conference room, that ballroom, right? And they're preparing for 300 people to come for something called a transformation event, right? And I stood there in the middle of this ballroom. I paused for a second. Everybody else is rushing around, doing what they got to do. You know, none of the audience attendees are there. It's the prep day. And I stood there, Damien, and I just looked around at everybody creating the stage, moving the chairs, the tables. And I said to myself, Alok, one day you'll be the guy on that stage. You won't be the mic runner. You won't be the paper hander outer. You won't be the table mover. You'll be the guy who pays for all of this and creates one of these experiences. Damien, I did not have any money. I mean, forget thinking about renting a room somewhere. I chose the identity of an event creator before I had any evidence that it could be possible. That may be one of the most important things I say on this recording. I'm going to say it again. I chose the identity standing in that room. I claimed the identity without anybody telling me I'd be capable of doing it. I claimed the identity of event creator. Well, guess what, everybody who's listening? We're now on year 3 of Transcendence, which will happen again this August, which is not a little league version of an event. It is big leagues version of an event. I spend multiple 6 figures. I invest multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to put it on. From that guy who stood in that room with nothing.
Making $20 an hour when you're back at the shop. Yeah,
that's
back
right.
At the place. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even then I'd get paid zero.
Yeah.
But guess what? They paid me because I got a vision in that room. I claimed an identity. I created a vision. And then I created myself. I took the actions of someone who would eventually be an event creator. So for everybody listening, no matter what your circumstance is, you have to claim the new identity before you have evidence of the new identity. That's what all of the greats will do. All the greats ask for help because they know it shrinks their timeline for an outcome. And they all claim an identity and a vision before they have evidence that they're capable of the identity and the vision.
Which, from what I hear, I think that's going to require getting out of my comfort zone. That's going to require. That's going to take a lot of courage.
Oh, man. So here I'm going to quote a client of mine named Shawnee Harley. And she and I were doing a client spotlight. She was in our early stage program, get the wheels rolling, start landing clients, get to 5K months, 10K months, whatever. In the middle of this client spotlight, she did a mic drop, okay? She is a coach on the women's national Canadian basketball team. Okay. So she deals with athletes. She loves sports and she loves competition and challenges, right? And so in the middle of I'm interviewing her and she's talking and she says something I will never forget. She says, Alok, when my ladies are getting ready to go out, for the next national basketball team game, she's like, I don't even need them to have confidence. I'm like, what?
Right.
Literally, I was like, stop the record. I'm like, stop the press. Tell me more. Because here I am building so much of my practice around confidence, right? Cultivating confidence in my clients. She said, no. Alok, here's the sentence. She said, confidence is a result. Confidence, you experience confidence after you've had a certain number of outcomes of a thing. Confidence is a result. She said, courage is a decision. And she said, my ladies have courage available to them always. You could be shitting your pants, scared as all get out, climbing, going to be a minnow in a shark tank. Sure. But you still can tap into courage. My most successful clients are the ones who choose courage despite their level of confidence being low, middle, high. And they're willing to stick their neck out and go shake a hand, connect, be in a room that's outside their comfort zone. You see, your comfort zone will get you your current results. It's the place outside your comfort zone where everything else you desire will be created.
Now, when you claimed that new identity, is it because you were there? Is it because you've always been a great speaker? Is it because of some dream you had? Why? What drove you to that?
That new identity. So I would say that moment of kind of that reclaiming from 2016 and into where we are now, leading Uplift Millions and all the things that we're doing, I would say it was just the next identity evolution. So in that moment, it evolved into speaker, coach, right? Transformational leader, this and that. But it was just the next expression of a life devoted to uplifting humanity and standing for something bigger than myself. So it was just the next expression of standing for something bigger than myself. When I was 27 and I launched a clean energy company that licensed a technology called thermo-oxidation that could convert garbage into electricity and fuel. And we took that to India and pitched $100 million deals to $27 billion oil companies. That was the same thread. It was the same commitment. It just had a different form. So this wasn't like a radical evolution of identity for me. It was a crystallization of the next expression of an identity that's committed to something bigger than me. So it wasn't a big leap, but what I would say is that it unlocked, let me say it better. That next expression, speaker, coach, transformational leader, mentor, business coach, spiritual guide. I get the thing that people say to me most now. They don't say coach. They don't say mentor. I get spirit animal. I was just in Antarctica, and there was a guy that I met there. I knew. I was like, bang. And on day one, he was like, I'm pretty sure I came onto this boat to meet you. You're my spirit animal. Right? And I just know. I'm like, sure. Right? But I would say that this next expression that occurred, I would say it was the greatest alignment of my superpowers with my work ethic. So when I was running a sustainable clothing company that fed 500,000 meals to people in need, that was a beautiful vision, and I'm very proud of the work that it did, Damien. But I'm not sure that my superpowers were like best amplified and And I don't think I'll be honest, and this is not a knock on myself. I just don't think I'm good enough. Like, I don't think I'm as good as other people in that particular arena.
Sure.
You know, there are other people that's their, that apparel product side is more their jammy jam, and they're just much better. Tom Shoes, the founder, Blake Misakawa, like, you know, other people crack that code. I haven't yet. I still have some merch creations coming down the pike over the next 5 to 10 years. But I just had to also come to terms. So when this click, as we talk in our house, we've had plant medicine journeys where click happens. This was really a click. And I would say it was more so than maybe some of my other expressions or creations over 25 years.
Interesting. So I want to unpack another thing. You said something interesting. You said, and the way you said it, because you're staying there and you claim this new identity. But then the next part really stood out because you didn't say, I want to be on that stage because I want to make 10 million or 100 million, or because I want glory or fame. I noticed you said, I'm going to pay for all of this. I'm going to pay for all these people.
That's right.
So why did you say that?
And so for full transparency, you know, so that was the initial risk, right? And when I was creating Transcendence the first year, it was not flowing. The creation didn't come to me. My team was like, Alok, we need run of show. We need to know what we're doing here. I was like, God has not given it to me. I'm sorry. And finally I was like, God, you gotta give me something. And so I took a trip to Colorado in my adventure van by myself, and I just communed in Telluride by nature. And God said to me, Alok, what would you create if it didn't need to sell anything? Because the thing is, I'm not a trust funder. I can't actually put on, by the way, at the time I thought it would cost $100,000 to put on one of those events. For the way I want to do it, it is not $100,000. It is about $250,000. Okay. But I still was naively thinking, God, it will be $100,000, you know, you got to give me something. And God was like, well, what if it didn't have to convert? I was like, what do you mean? $100,000.
Yeah.
You know, God's like, I know, $100,000. I'm like, I literally said, this is happening in my van in real time. I literally said, so are you asking me to hand back all that money energy to the people? And God was like, yes. I was like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm your humble servant, and I've been taught to listen, and you've got me out of some serious jams, so I listen, but that scares the shit out of me. But okay, I'll create it without it needing to convert. I'll just give all that money back. And in that moment, the floodgates opened. Day 1, day 2, day 3, full run of show, everything. I have chills right now. I remember this clear as fucking day. And then after a couple days, you know, like all day 1, day 2, everything's pouring through it. I'm messaging my team. I'm like, it's coming. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Then God whispered and said, and my son, the event will convert great. You need not worry. But what I learned is I needed to be willing to give it all back. That I surrendered. And so in all transparency, I make one offer. It's not like one of these big sales events. I make one offer, it converts, it pays for my whole ecosystem of humans, right? But the larger point is this, which is there's 3 zones of wealth. There's wealth generation, there's wealth accumulation, and then there's wealth circulation, becoming a wealth circulator.
Yeah.
I desire to be a steward of money. I hope the listeners can hear this. Not a dead end, a steward, right? Cities that are wealthy, guess what? The money is moving at Mach speed, right? People get money from their job. They go to the bakery. They spend at the baker goes and hires the lawyer, right?
Yeah.
There's a velocity of capital where success is. If you go to a city that's down in the dumps, money energy is flowing at a very slow pace. Okay. So we desire, I encourage everyone listening to not stop at being a wealth generator. Because guess what? Those people are always broke.
Yeah.
Right? Even if they crack the money code, they're always broke. Then don't stop at being a wealth accumulator. Then you're just like this pile of money that's just stuck, not doing anything, not creating anything. So I invite the listener to start saying, what are my needs for my family, our life, short-term, mid-term, long-term? And then everything else is for everybody else. You don't die and take the money with you.
Right.
And if you hand your kids $100 million, they're taken care of.
Yeah.
Like it's done. All right. I invite us to start thinking about each other in a oneness consciousness that starts looking at a collective lens, not just a myopic me lens. So if you know you're a powerful creator as an identity, I invite you to also take on the identity of wealth circulator. So for example, this will be the fourth year in a row where we've circulated over $1 million to other humans. I've never done that before. Now that may sound small to some people, but it's huge in my world.
Yeah.
Huge in my world.
Yeah.
Right? So embracing that wealth and setting goals. Here's the conversation most people do. Setting a goal for circulation.
Right.
Right? Like I remember when I started getting closer, there were years where I had circulated, let's say $300,000 to other humans. That was incredible.
Right.
Right? Like let that into your body to all the listeners. Like, what if I'm someone who can circulate $1 million to other people? Yes, you are. You can be if you choose it, and then take actions in alignment with that identity. Right? So why do I have a Nobel Prize replica under my computer that I look at every day? It's because I've chosen the identity before I have the result of being someone who will create a body of work over the next 50 years that might be put in conversation for consideration for this, even if I don't win. That is a chosen identity, even though I do not have the evidence. I haven't won the Nobel Prize, Damien.
Yeah.
So do you think because I haven't won the Nobel Prize, I'm just going to function like, oh, fuck it, not even going to try? No, I'm going to create a body of work in my lifetime, and then I'm going to put my head down for my final sleep, and that'll be what I created. Period.
So amazing. Wealth circulation, completely different than wealth generation or accumulation.
That's right.
How does this tie into how did I understand my maximum impact potential?
Yeah. So maximum impact potential, think about it like a stock ticker. If anybody's followed Google or Microsoft or Apple, right? They aren't a straight line, It's cultivated. The stock goes up based on decisions that management are making today will shape the stock going up, right? Likewise, decisions by management can crush the stock and make the stock drop, right? So Damien's maximum impact potential as of today is as big as he chooses that potential to be, and then make decisions each day that lead to creation, micro creations, mid-sized creations, or big creations. Like transcendence is my biggest creation. Well, some would argue some of the other companies were, but whatever, right? For making impact or for creating transformation in the world. So our ability to create, and by the way, every decision you make creates impact.
Yeah.
Some of them are positive and some of them are negative. It's just, it's not like any of the listeners can ignore or like opt out of this impact conversation.
Right.
Some people go, oh yeah, you're a transformational leader. You're kind of like in the Gandhi zone. So, okay, you're doing the impact thing. I'm like, no, you are too. You're leading your kids, you're leading your wife, you're leading your husband. You're leading. You're having impact. All of your decisions, there are no neutral decisions.
That's right.
So once you understand there's no neutral decisions, well, I invite you to start going, well, then shoot. I want to make my biggest contribution during my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And then leave a legacy that lives on. And when we realize that nobody was born special, like I used to think, oh, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, they somehow had some different genes than me.
Mm-hmm.
No, they just had more courage and they did not close their eyes to injustice going on. That is that simple. There's an injustice of some form. I'm not closing my eyes to it. So I'm going to pour all of me into solving that. So when we begin to sort of say, I'm going to choose to live into my maximum impact potential. Why not?
Right.
Why not? The only person stopping you is you. And then begin to decide, what are my zones where I'd like to contribute my life force? Could be at the community level, could be at the global level, could be in the political arena, could be in entrepreneurship. It don't matter, right? Like if you're an entrepreneur, do you have policies that treat people with dignity, honor, and respect? Or are you just extracting as much labor as you can at as low wage as possible? Right? So it's like I pay all of my people top of the industry, not bottom. Watch the loyalty you'll get. You'll have people that walk through walls for you and your mission and your vision.
Yeah. I guess using your logic, you couldn't afford to pay less. Right.
See, remember what I said to you? Things will come up that are said differently.
Yeah.
I could not afford to pay less. Whoa!
I love that.
I'm running with that.
So tell me about Uplift Millions. Tell me about what you're doing. Tell me about the impact.
Sure. It's the only carbon neutral coaching company in the entire world that's dedicated to helping entrepreneurs who have a big mission and vision be able to do so faster and bigger. So I'm built for results-driven entrepreneurs with big visions. I'm not here for the lily pad sitters, the complainers, the whiners, the half-ins, the quarter timers who want full-time results. They will have allergic reactions to me and my team really quickly. But we're also not this kind of manly rise and grind, go get it, eat what you kill, right? We're in the middle. So we believe that entrepreneurs benefit not just from tactic and strategy, but also from somatic healing to move trauma out of their bodies. We believe there's hypnosis, NLP. There's so many different. So our coaching team has such a wide range of skills that help our clients move through not just the strategic, but mindset. And if we're having a conversation around mindset, and I want everyone to hear this, I'm going to say something that may be problematic or challenging. I believe mindset is the beginning of the conversation, but mindset is a result of trauma in the body. So if you're only trying to reprogram and rewire the neurons of your brain, you're going to keep finding yourself knocked off the path going, I know I'm supposed to go that way, but I'm not. Why? It's because your subconscious is taking you left when you're trying to drive straight. And that will not be fixed through mindset alone. It'll be fixed by removing trauma out of your body. So at Uplift Millions, we run group programs. We've got a program called Haven. It's a very easy price point. That's good early stagers, 3 calls a month. People can go out. We got a training portal that's a $10,000 training portal in there. And people say, why do you put this in there? I'm saying, because I want you to join our upper level programs. I'm going to try to help you make some money now. So you have $30,000 to come into the next level. I'm totally straight up with them. Right? And then we've got year-long programs that are much higher investments that have trips and experiences. And we do all sorts of wild stuff together, one-on-one coaching. And then I've got one-on-one coaching purely where people come sit on the couch. That's either for VIP days or they come do year-long agreements with me that are six-figure agreements. So we really take people from where they're at. Our sweet spot tends to more be people who are selling their knowledge, their wisdom, versus someone who is a pen seller. There are other people who are better qualified to help somebody sell more pens than me. I can help someone sell more pens, but there are other people who can really help you sell more pens, more than me. But Uplift Millions it's dedicated to helping people have transformational experiences that accelerate their business results. That's why people come. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna help me make more money." Sure. If you do the work, you show up, you raise your hand, you ask for help, you're on your coaching calls, you're implementing, taking bold action. When you're stuck, you're getting the mindset and the somatic work to move out of stuck. If you're going to do that, yes, I can help you make more money. Okay. But here's what really happens. Their whole identity changes. They'll get to the end of a year and go, I don't even recognize myself. I don't recognize my marriage. I don't recognize my body, right? Like we just took clients to Zion National Park. We did 16 miles through the West Rim. That was just mind-blowing. I saw 3 transformations in entrepreneurs on that mountain. People say, why do you take people on mountains? Well, if you watch what happened to those 3 entrepreneurs, you'll know why. Right? So we combine, we're going to Bali with clients. We went to India last year with clients. We went to the Grand Canyon with clients. We've gone to Miami, Whistler, British Columbia. We've done just epic experiences because we just believe in person. We just believe in person transformation is beyond what can happen through a Zoom window.
Yeah. Obviously, we are not in person. We are doing this remote, but
That's right.
I couldn't agree more. Like, most of the people listening, now I'm in tech, but still there's nothing like being there and being with each other.
Go show up. I tell people, show up.
Yeah.
Use the Zoom and the other stuff for the in-betweens.
Yes.
Go show up. Be with people and then be open to what could be possible in their presence.
So Alok, tell folks how to find you. If they're listening and they go, I want more. I need to figure this out. I need more of this. I gotta get this help. How can they get connected to you and Uplift Millions? And
Sure. So I would say a few different ways. First is you can go to our Super Beings Facebook group. So just look up Super Beings, you'll find it. You can follow my personal profile. That's really the heart and soul of a lot of my other platforms are extensions of what happens on my personal profile on Facebook. So Alok Appadurai on Facebook. But then I would just say go to upliftmillions.com. You can go explore Transcendence. That's August 23rd to 25th. If you want to see, come get up. If you want to come have an experience that will rip you open, shed you of your junk, and spit you out a different you, 3 days. Give me 3 days in August, and you'll turn yourself upside down. But you can go to upliftmillions.com. They could go to my personal website, alokappadurai.com. Send me a DM. Start a conversation. Say hello. If you listen to something here and it landed for you and you had an aha, tell me. I want to hear from you. So those would be the easiest ways. And you can follow me on Instagram or any of the socials. I'd gladly connect with people.
that is awesome. Look, I feel like I could talk all day. I can't keep you all day, but I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Damien, it's been my absolute honor to be with you and your extraordinary audience.